Okay, hello everybody. Pardon my disgusting and unkempt appearance. I have been inside all day. I've been out for most of the weekend. Throwing Lucky. I also have like a one-track mind. I can't concentrate on any damn thing at once. Any one damn thing at once. Yeah. So anyways, I just wanted to give everybody a friendly reminder, whoever everybody is, whoever all of you are, that there is a new Luckyzilla comic that comes out tomorrow. New comic strip. I gotta be more specific. It's the second chapter of the Olympic story already in progress. For those of you who are watching the Olympics, be sure to read a Lucky comic in between the commercials, because as good as commercials are, they are not my comics. And I want you to read my comics because, well, I want to know what you think. And of course, I want you to buy my comics, like this one right here. This is the first issue of an ongoing series that I am producing pretty much entirely on my own. I have a few people who contribute art and story, Ed Giassen and Jason Klein. But for the most part, I've done it pretty much all myself. It's a lot of work to do comics, especially in the case of the Olympic comic, which is a multi-language adventure. When I say multi-language, I mean the comic is available in 6 languages, 6 including English. So, yeah, it's been kind of an adventure because I'm not only, writing. It's a 4-part adventure. So this brings us to the halfway point. But I'm not necessarily writing 4 comics. I'm writing 24 comics. It's like half a year's work, because there are phrases that just don't make grammatical sense when you transfer them to and from English. It's just, and I was actually surprised because French and German were very forgiving in some of the jokes. Spanish was maybe a little less forgiving, but I still found a few little extremities that I thought, this might be fun. Chinese, more or less the same thing, although I had to simplify the dialogue a lot because once those verbs and adjectives move around, you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful, and you don't really want to offend anyone unnecessarily, because that's just... I mean, the whole point, as I may have mentioned in my last live stream, which, by the way, I didn't even rewatch, I should say. The reason why I'm doing this multi-language comic is because it's just, it's my little way of trying to bring the cultures of the world closer together. Because even though we don't speak the same language, we want to live in peace and not blow stuff up, because that would be sad. That's a pretty dumb way of putting it, but that's the only way that my brain can process right now. Translating comics to and from English has, really racked my brain. So it's like even when I speak English, I can't English. So, yeah. But let's see. About how long have I been streaming? I gotta see this now. I gotta see how long I've been streaming. least somebody want to give me a time for how long I've been streaming? Perhaps. Maybe. Maybe I just got to do this with the stopwatch then. I shouldn't have done that. Dull. I have no idea what I'm doing. Actually, I do have some idea what I'm doing. So anyways, this is, whoa. I used to be a cameraman, can't you tell? This is my Wacom Cintiq. It's huge. It's one of the two that I own. I have a 13-inch one that travels with me. It's quite an investment for one of these things. The 13-inch one was $800. The 22-inch one was $2,000. Keyword financing. Financing. 100%. You got to finance these things. Get a credit card and finance it. You know, don't screw around with your money unnecessarily. That's where you're going to run into a lot of trouble. Lot of trouble. Josh, lot of trouble. He's one of my favorite indie cartoonists. You want to learn more about him, look him up. Lottaland.com. So now I think what I'm going to do, which is what I mentioned I was going to do in my previous stream, was I'm going to show you how to draw Luckyzilla, and it's going to be great. Okay, so I'm going to be drawing in Adobe Illustrator. Adobe Illustrator is available in the Adobe Creative Cloud, which you can get for $50 a month. There are also special discounts available if you're an educator, if you're a student, and whatnot. So, you know, all things that are worth looking into. You can also get this as a single app subscription for, I think, maybe $20 a month, but don't quote me on that. Woo, woo, woo. Wow, the frame rate on this is terrible. Okay, so what I've done is I've selected a pink outline because I think that's easier to trace over. Now, what I've been doing for the last few years, and only for the last few years, is roughing out every single thing that I do before I draw the final. Now, I set my canvas size to 8.5 by 11. You know, I mean, try to leave math out of the equation as much as possible. I don't really like that expression line. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw our expression line. Now, if you want to get really nice and technical, you can break out, you know, the where elements of the body are going to go. Like this is for the head. This is for the torso. These are for the legs. You know, you want to try to keep as proportional as possible with Lucky. And just for consistency's sake, we're also going to put in, you know, other elements such as, you know, where exactly the head is and the neck. And then we just basically start filling stuff in. It's all a process of breaking stuff down. I mean, if I wasn't demonstrating this and describing what I'm demonstrating, I would be working a lot faster than this. I might at some point if I get tired of hearing my own voice. because there are times when I do. Now, just to give you a more intimate look at what I'm doing. Whoa, as I zoom in on an inappropriate area. So we're going to go up here. Whoa, hello. What the heck kind of brush is that? Ah, it looks like some denim thing. See what happens when you push buttons? We'll go back to, oh, and by the way, I am using the blob brush tool, which has become my best friend. I was using the regular brush tool in Illustrator up until recently because it was like, yeah, the best way to draw and to get the pressure sensitivity capabilities out of the tablet, which are very vital if you're going to be doing flat work like I am. And where was I going with that? And at the same time, you know, the regular brush tool, you got to expand the appearance of all your lines, so that this way you can convert them to paths and then add color or whatever. But that was just, you know, an extra step. And sometimes when I would go into Pathfinder and merge objects, they wouldn't merge correctly. The blob brush basically eliminates one step of converting all of the brush strokes. So now let's concentrate on the head for a minute. Now we want to get a nice oval shape. Think of a watermelon, because if you were to hold Luckyzilla's head, it would probably be about the weight of 3 watermelons, because he's 9 feet tall and weighs 600 pounds. So you're wondering, how can he fly? And some BBW fetish model, Kelly K, you know, just is Kelly K. So then what you do is you take the shape of a foot, simplify it, you know, 2 more ovals. You know, the front base and the heel. And then what you do is you also add a little curve under here for the chin. And this is something I only added recently to the design of Lucky. I'm going a little too fast, because it was just so much easier to get the muzzle all straightened out and avoiding any confusion. Next, we're going to do the neck. Now, as you can see, the neck on its own, how can that hold up this head? The simple answer is it can't. So you need to bring the neck out as much as possible, so that this way it kind of forms the shape of a thumb almost. Now what we're gonna do, because Lucky is a muscular fella, is we're gonna work on the torso. Again, you know, you gotta bring up the proportions. When I say bring up, I mean draw. Draw in the proportions that you don't see. Okay, I'm still going. Unlike Facebook Live, there's really no easy way to whatchamacallit, you know, draw and then, you know, keep doing what it is, and then monitor the Facebook Live and make sure that it's still going, because I've had to do it from a mobile device. And even when I'm not doing it from a mobile device, you know, I have to monitor the OBS software that I used, which I recommend. It's pretty good, but at the same time, it's like, you know, I got to concentrate on this. And one of these days I'll get an intern to do this for me. So we have the torso. We're going to go back to that in a little bit, you know, to work on the arms and everything. Now we're going to go to the lower torso, which, if I zoom all the way out, you can see it looks a little not great. So I'm going to bring this out a little bit. You know, and try not to say anything stupid because there might be children watching, although I have a very, very, very juvenile mind. I grew up watching Beavis and Butthead. I grew up watching The Simpsons before most of you millennials were even born. Somehow I keep ending up classified as a millennial, and I don't understand why. It's kind of annoying because I don't consider myself a jobless, hopeless, whatever that everyone else seems to consider millennials as. And even those aren't. I'm getting off track. So now we're going to do pretty much the same thing that we did at the top, you know, break apart certain elements so that this way they all kind of sort of match up. And we also want to even some other stuff out, you know, at least in terms of the pants. Because it's like, you know, this isn't 1997. Luckyzilla is not going to be wearing Janko jeans. Although one of these days, if I can get that far, I most certainly want to do like a promotion with them of some sort. So that's looking pretty satisfactory as far as I'm concerned. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add in the arms. Now, this is where I'm going to go back to me. So please bear with me. Okay. So if you were to look at your own arm, don't worry, I'm not going to get naked. I'm just going to, you know, break certain things down. Now, I lay my arms straight, and you notice that this is even with each other, you know, because they all have to support one another. I mean, not every one of us are born that way, but that's almost irrelevant at this point. Where was I going with this? Everything is connected by circles. A circle, a joint. Circle connects the bottom of the arm to the shoulder. Circle forms an elbow that connects the forearm to the upper arm, I guess. And a circle forms a wrist that connects the hand. And every single one of these joints is a whole bunch of little circles. But I'm not going to overwhelm you with a bunch of circles and crap, because that, you know, almost adds too much technicality. I'm just saying, you know, there are certain things that you have to look for. Circles are your friends. You can form just about anything from a circle. Anything that has an angle, like, I mean, if you were to block everything out with squares, I mean, you'd have probably, if they were standing next to you, they'd be very uncomfortable. You don't want to make your characters feel uncomfortable. So now back to the drawing board. Okay. So now I am not going to be a hypocrite and just go back on everything I just said. So we're going to put Lucky's arms. We're going to put Lucky's hands on his torso. So make that even. Circle. Circle. And we want to make the upper arm the more beefier one. Because when you think about it, when you see any jacked up dude at the gym, that's the part of his body that he cares about the most. Why? I guess somehow it means a lot to him to look big and beefy. But to each his own. That's neither here nor there. Now the other side, if you're not as experienced, and I still consider myself inexperienced in anatomy, I always feel like I'm learning. You got to be really careful how you plan this out, especially when you're drawing something that can't necessarily be seen. So again, whoa, screen's glitching out. Even everything out with circles. Circle, circle, dot, dot. You got the cootie shot. All right. Normally, I could do a drawing like this in a little under 3 minutes. But again, because I want to mentor you fine people, I'm going at a turtle's pace. Now, we're going to go back up to the head because I can't stay focused for the life of me. And we are going to rough out the face. After this, we are going to get down to the nitty-gritty. So now we put in the eyes. The expression line that we have, we kind of, can't rely on it so much here. It's like every piece of this puzzle has got to be measured out with everything else, almost kind of use an invisible divider. So you got one eye over here, you got the other eye in the distance. Now what you're going to do is you're going to figure out where the nose is going to go. And the nose, has got to serve as something of a vanishing point. It's got to serve as something of a slide. It's like you slide down the nose. You slide down the snout to get to the nose, and it's connected perfectly. Then you got to do the mouth. Will make Lucky smile because he's happy that you're all here, and so am I. You don't want to go all the way around the muzzle because we're not doing Ren and Stimpy stuff, at least not yet. So then you add your lines. And you know what? I'm making this way too technical. I apologize. Again, I'm just learning and I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants here. So let's get into the final. What I generally do first whenever I draw anything is I draw the eyes. I think I might need to bring down the brush size. That doesn't look great. And don't be afraid of screwing anything up first time because that's how you learn. I drew in pen for about 10 years before I started getting into this Wacom stuff. And I gotta say, having the undo button is a beautiful thing. And a nice way of being able to learn anatomy is by tracing over photographs. Don't let anyone tell you that's cheating. It's called learning. Of course, if you were to trace over something and then, trace over the Mona Lisa, for example, and try to pass it off as your own, well, then you're an idiot. We got to throw in a lip. There are certain things that you can't rough out because, as I demonstrated unexpectedly a few moments ago, you'll just be overthinking everything. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the chin. If the chin isn't at least, a little bit more prominent than the top of the snout, then it doesn't really look like Lucky as far as I'm concerned. Overextend it if you need to, but just remember, you got to have a distinctive chin. I think I'm going to start calling what I'm drawing right now the frills. If you're using a tablet, take advantage of the pressure sensitivity. That's what it's there for. Okay, now the ears. You would want to measure at least you want to measure at least a pair of eyes between the left eye and where you're going to put the ear. So then otherwise, it feels smushed. I'm going to add in the eyebrows. I haven't added in the pupils. We'll do that last. And one of the reasons why I generally like to do it last is if I'm drawing a scene from one of the comics, if I'm drawing a panel and I want to have the character's eyes meet exactly, I want to be able to have, as much flexibility as possible. Now, you basically do the same thing on the opposite side. Okay, now we have our neck. I'm going to give a few light strokes here and there. It doesn't have to be perfect because this isn't getting animated. This is just being used for the purposes of this video. You also want to have the fur kind of stick out a little bit. Like he hasn't, I'm sure he's bathed in a week. I feel like I haven't because I was out really late last night. And that'll do you. I'm going to zoom out a little bit and try not to break my arm. Okay, now we're going to set the base of the torso, final base of the torso. I'm going to try that again. Okay. Go up here. One long continuous stroke. And I don't mean like swimming. I just mean one long stroke. Start with a little light stroke and you... Without farting, of course. Oh, spit out my tablet. Now the sleeves. This is something that many had tried to teach me when I was doing drawing classes at Briarcliff. And even as far back as high school art classes. And I only really started realizing this recently because, well, better late than never. See how, and let me actually finish this before I say another word. Yeah, that's better. Now you see how this right here kind of hangs down? That's because, there's nothing that's really holding it up. And you see how this up here is kind of relaxed. Well, if you're wearing a short sleeve shirt, just hold out your arm and you'll see what I'm talking about. And that should help. Moving on. Let's go to the lower arm, which it shouldn't be as beefy as the rest of the arm. I mean, after all, Luckyzilla is Luckyzilla and not Popeye. Stroke and stroke and stroke. circle. The reason why I'm not as vocal right now is not because I'm finding it difficult to concentrate, even though I kind of am. It's because when you rough everything out, I think you've already done the hard work. You've taken the hard work out of it. Which is one of the reasons why I think once you decide that, you know, this is what you want to do, you know, you start to break down your work a little bit more. This is important for several reasons. The first thing is you do not want to spend forever on one drawing. I work for a printing company, and the kinds of projects we do there, you know, would take, let's say about 6 weeks to do in a class. But in many situations, you're going to find yourself as a professional graphic designer putting work out like that in less than 6 days, sometimes even 6 hours. So, you know, there's a big difference between, you know, just learning how to do it and learning how to do it on the fly. If you lose your spot, just remember, circles are your friend. We got lightning on Lucky's pants. Denim closing. This stitching. Denim stitching. That's what it's called. It's like sometimes you spend so much time doing this stuff, you forget what things are called. Especially when the last few years of your life you wondered whether or not you had a stroke at some point. Okay, I think we can take away the roughs just so we can see where we are. I mean, we're looking pretty good. This isn't the best Lucky I've ever drawn by any means, but, you know, it's fairly on model. Well, always want to make sure, unless of course your character is looking intentionally cross-eyed, that you try to match up which way the eyes are pointing as much as possible. Now, for everyone's favorite part, the Luckyzilla emblem. This I found an enormous amount of difficulty drawing up until recently. Tracing kind of helped, but also it was just, you know, I've been looking at this particular logo for about 15 years. And generally speaking, I don't always draw the Lucky emblem when it's used in the comics. I already have it pre-made in case I run into situations where I get frustrated with how to draw it, and at a certain point I say F it, and I just I feel like I'm almost reaching that point. But I won't, because we're just about finished here. And if you think you can draw Luckyzilla better than me, and you can post a video of yourself doing just that, because we have the claws in there, then forget exactly how you can do a video response nowadays. I'm not sure if you even can, but those of you that are watching this right now, if you post a video to the Luckyzilla Facebook page of you drawing Luckyzilla about as on model as I've drawn Lucky here, or better, I will send you a digital copy of Luckyzilla #1, and if you do it before September, or October rather, if you do it before the end of the month, I will give you an advance copy of Luckyzilla #2. And if you're proud of something, sign it. So there. And now I'm going to go back to me. So anyways, this is available on Luckyzilla.com. It is $4 for a digital copy. It is $5 for a printed copy, plus $2.50 for shipping and handling. It is not available to ship outside the US. I'm sorry, I'm just not set up for international shipping. I don't want to say that I don't trust it, but it would just be too great an expense for you to buy a $5 comic and then end up having to pay $25 for shipping, customs, all that fun stuff. So, yeah. But keep on the lookout. I'll be doing more of these live streams. I will look a lot more presentable as they go along, and I will draw more of the characters from the comic strips. There's a new Luckyzilla comic every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Sometimes they're uploaded on Sundays. Just keep at it. Like Luckyzilla on Facebook. Follow him on Twitter. Subscribe if you want more of these. And don't forget to watch the other videos on this channel. I've also uploaded, which I uploaded to Facebook several months ago, a sequence from the upcoming half-hour-long Luckyzilla cartoon, the animated cartoon. So you can see that there, and that would be exciting. So for now, I bid you adieu, and I'm going to go do laundry. See ya.